Hi everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Wednesday today and I'm here with a technique for you. Now, as I was getting ready, I'm not sure what this is called. I'm calling this magic embossing. I'm sure there's other names. This was originally, I think I saw this done by Sharon Armstrong, but you've probably seen this around. It's another way to use your embossing folder to create a background image. It's so amazing because it colors and embosses all at once. It's a bit like Jacob's Ladder, if you've ever done that, but way easier than Jacob's Ladder. And it's kind of magical. So you've probably seen this. It's my first time playing with this. So we'll see how this turns out. I am using the new Seaside Wishes bundle, which is a hybrid embossing folder bundle that is in the new annual catalog that comes out May 1st. When I saw this, I absolutely loved it. I live on the West Coast, so of course it has to be, it's very West Coasty. Well, it's actually anything about the ocean, and it's to do with sand dollars and of course starfish, and I couldn't resist. All right, so let's switch over. We will see how this goes. So wish me luck, everybody. Hopefully this will turn out. Okay, so first of all, isn't this a gorgeous? Now I don't have the dies. I have got the stamp set, which is so pretty with these sand dollars and some starfish and some great sentiments. And then this is the hybrid embossing folder that goes with it. So if you haven't played with hybrid embossing folders, what they do is you can use it as a regular embossing folder, but you can also emboss and cut out, for example, these sand dollars in this case. So there will be a die that fits into the embossing folder so that you can emboss and cut out at the same time. So what am I going to do with this technique? Well, the goal with this technique is to actually color the embossing folder. So you may have seen it done with the layering flowers, and you want to actually color the side that has the embossed image, so the raised image, and that way the color will get pressed down into the little debossed side or the indented side. Took me a minute to figure this out. So if you're playing with this and you realize that you get a piece, I was playing with it and it looks like this, where you've only got kind of a bit of the color, it's because you've used the wrong side. So don't do what I just did. Really pretty piece of, this is the layering flowers. But what I really wanted is, let's see if I've got one. No, I don't. Where I want this whole flower, and in this case, this sand dollar colored. Now I have pulled Petal Pink and Crumb Cake, and I've got a piece of basic white cardstock that is cut 4 inches by 5 1/4 that I'm going to put over top of this once I do some coloring. So I'm going to color first. Open these up. I'm using my blending brushes. So I'm going to use the Crumb Cake first. And I'm going to add some color, hopefully add some color to this. Now this might have some orange on it too. That's okay. I guess it was probably Calypso Coral. So if you go over the edge, not really critical. I just want to make sure I've got enough. Hopefully that's enough. And then I'm going to do one that's in Petal Pink. And you can play with this and see. I want this to be somewhat subtle. Of course, I've chosen the colors that aren't going to be really bright. Let's see. I'll do Crumb Cake on this one, this little one as well. Now I'm not going to worry too much. My colors are really subtle, and you're probably not seeing it here. You can kind of see. I'm not really worrying too much whether I, have made it completely neat or not. And so now I'm going to put my piece of basic white on, hold that in place, and then close the lid. And then you're going to run it through your Stamp and Cut and Emboss as if you would normally. So I've got my cutting platform, or my base platform number 1. And then because this is the 3D embossing folder, I've got my platform number 4. And if I've done this correctly, when I run this through, now this isn't where the magic happens. Magic happens in a minute. So if I've done this correctly, I now have this gorgeous embossed piece, and I don't have a ton of color, but I'm okay with that. It's pretty subtle. Some embossing folders are going to work differently. So you could add a little bit of color. For example, if I wanted to just put a little bit of color in there, I could do that. Trying to be gentle with it. I don't want a ton. So you could make this so that there's more color in there. And with my petal pink, I'll do the same. All right, so I've added a little bit of color. Now, this is where the magic kind of happens. I'm using early espresso. Again, I hope this works out. Otherwise, we'll do a redo on our card. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to close it up, and I'm going to take and run this across. Now I'm trying to keep it fairly flat like that. Isn't that cool? It looks like how the colors kind of come out. And if you I want to do that the other way, you can do it. So I've got lots of color on that side, so I'm going to have to go over, and I've got a little bit of color, but isn't this a cool technique? Trying to keep it flat so it doesn't get too much on the inside of my, and of course I have ink all over my fingers, but isn't that a cool technique? So I could let this, I will let this dry, not that I could. I'm going to actually take my heat tool and just kind of dry it. Hopefully you can still hear me. Otherwise I'm going to get ink all over my fingers, which I kind of already have. This embossing folder is so pretty. And again, if you want to, I could take again and just kind of go over and add a little bit of color even into those ones that we're done with crumb cake, and just kind of brighten it up. But just, oh, I love this technique. So fun. Okay, so, and I love the fact that I've got the little bubbles around it. Now I'm going to trim this because I cut that intentionally a little bit bigger, because I'm going to put a second layer. So where am I going to cut this? I want to cut this to be 3 3/4. So I'm just going to trim just a little bit off each edge so that it becomes 3 3/4 by 5. So we'll trim off this end. Although my bubbles are on that end, that's okay. There we go. All right, so that's trimmed up. And now I've got a piece of pecan pie, petal pink. And I have a piece of Calypso coral. I thought that would be pretty. So this is 4 1/4 by 11. And we will score it at 5 1/2. All right. So if you're watching for the first time, let me know where you're watching from. If you're coming in through YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you get notified when I go live. There we go. So Calypso coral 4 1/4 by 11. And then I'm going to glue this down. Hey, Roberta, welcome. All right, so I'm going to glue this down with glue. I like to use liquid glue when I'm using an embossing folder. It just kind of gets into the nooks and crannies. So I think you have to try different embossing folders. I do think that the ones that have a deeper, the 3D embossing folders, I think work better than the ones that aren't quite as deep. Hey, Pam. And now I've got linen thread. I'm going to wrap my linen thread. I'm going to tie a bow kind of on this right-hand side of my card. Probably should tie there. clean this off. Got a little bit of what looked like ink there. Okay, let's put this down like that. Okay, so let's tie a bow here on this one side of my linen with my linen thread. I'm going to just put a fairly simple sentiment on this because I really want this to be the star of the show, because I just love this technique. So as I said, I've seen a lot done with the layered florals, and you could add different colors to those flowers. I've also seen some done where you don't color at all. You just kind of swipe. It looks very cool. But yeah, so this is the first time playing with this, using the this Seaside Wishes. And now we'll put that on like that. Normally I use Stampin' Seal when I've got ribbon, but because this is tied all the way around, I'm not too worried about it letting go. And we'll just pat that. Okay, so now a sentiment. I said I was going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going to use this one that said, "You absolutely made my day." Got a piece of basic white here. Pick that up. All right, now I think I'll use Calypso Coral, which I have here. Yeah, I think this is a great technique to play around with. Okay, so we're going to stamp that. And that was probably the piece of basic white that I cut for the inside of the card. So let's cut another one. 3 3/4. All right, a little narrower than. All right, so my inside of the card is going to be 3 3/4 by 5. So we might as well do a something stamped on the inside of my card. What shall we do? Let's do this sand dollar because it's really pretty. And I'm just going to stamp that so you can see what this stamped image looks like as well. It's kind of cool. It probably would be better if I had stamped it on a, let's do this. No, it still looks kind of rustic, or so you're not getting the ink all the way through, which is kind of cool because sand dollars are all sorts of shades of kind of a pinky beige color. One year, my husband and I went, can't remember where we went to, but we came home with, like, there were sand dollars all over the place, and we came home with buckets of them and dried them out, let them dry out in the sun. They were very cool. I have to admit, though, I don't remember what we did with them, but they were very cool. You could make wind chimes out of them. I know people do that. So I'm just going to take and cut this. I'm going to cut this apart. You know me, I can't resist cutting my sentiments with a paper snips. All right, so you absolutely made my day. All right, I'm going to cut you, this you. There, okay. I think I've got that cut. Oh, let's make that smaller. You. All right, so now let's take, like I said, I've said this before, I like to use, when I've got really thin little bits of sentiment, I like to use the adhesive foam strips. So we'll do that. Or you can take off, particularly the mini dimensionals, take and cut the edge off. It's got quite a wide edge that doesn't actually have any of the dimensionals. And I think I need one more piece like that. And that reminds me, I think that's the last of my foam strips. I'm going to have to buy some more. All right, you The reason I like to do this is because sometimes I don't want to put my sentiments in a long row. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And in this case, I don't. So I'm just gonna take and do this. You absolutely made my day. There we go. All right, and then these are those rainbow dots. I've used these so much, but I do have some that are in, I guess that's, I don't even know what, I think it's petal pink. I was going to say it looks orangey, but I think it's petal pink, and so that will go perfectly with this card. Put that there. All right. So there we go. That's that technique. If you haven't played with it, give it a try because it's so much fun, and you'll be surprised at how pretty the cards you can make. So there we go. You absolutely make my day. So that's a sneak peek, and also a new technique. And this is the Seaside Wishes from the new 2024-25 catalog that comes out May 1st. So if you love these kind of seaside images, then this one's probably needs to be added to your wish list on the inside. All right. Yeah, you're gonna have to try it, Pam. Just bite the bullet and play. I just kind of played with a scrap of paper, and clearly on my first attempt, I had it wrong. So play with it and test it out before you go to actually make your card, because you might, if you're like me, you'll have it inked up on the wrong side. So I had to quickly go and grab some more cardstock before I went live. All right, I'll be live again tomorrow. I expect it'll be at 2 o'clock Pacific. My dog's going in and out of the vets tomorrow for a test, but I think I should be home for 2 o'clock. So come join me for a mystery challenge. I will post the clues tomorrow morning, so you can, if you want to play along and make a card with me using those clues, you'll know what to grab for your supplies. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. Hope you have a great day. Happy stamping. Bye.